Greetings, Neuro Ninjas. I just wanted to respond quickly to an excellent question somebody asked the other day, which was about conspiracy theories and all the kind of fake news nonsense that flies around in the midst of something like the coronavirus pandemic. Why is there so much of that about, and people sharing a load of old nonsense on social media? Well, basically, if you remember the video I put out originally about the coronavirus, and actually how deep in our brain there are structures in our limbic system called the amygdala, and they're kind of getting all sensory information first, spotting changes in the environment, and in relation to this, experiencing lots of uncertainty, which we feel in our mind as anxiety. So our brain experiences uncertainty through the amygdala, and then in our mind we feel that as anxiety, and then that information, that sense of uncertainty and anxiety, kind of is sent up to the prefrontal cortex behind our forehead to make some kind of decision about what are we going to do about this, how are we going to respond to this information. Now, in our brain, in our prefrontal cortex and other areas of our brain, are circuits that are around pattern recognition and looking for kind of correlations and patterns in the environment, and they're really quite helpful for our ancestors in the evolutionary past. So if at a certain time of day a predator rocked up into our lands on the savannah, then actually noticing that link between the predator and the time of day, that kind of pattern was important, that correlation was important. But in a moment like this, where our prefrontal cortex is reaching out into the world to try and find answers to what's going on and solutions, that pattern recognition, that link between at one event and another, a kind of sense of a correlation between those two things, can go into a bit of overdrive. So any manner of quackery can be given a huge lease of life by those circuits, and obviously supercharged and amplified by social media. So there's all manner of complete nonsense flying around about what caused coronavirus, what the symptoms are, what might be possible cures to coronavirus. That's the desperate need of the prefrontal cortex to come up with any kind of information, and its little circuits are out there searching for correlations between unrelated events. Might be personal stories. Usually these things are phrased as personal stories. A friend, brother's, dog's, wife's mate had an idea about. They've come through stories and correlations and pattern recognition. The key thing about those things is they're just stories and they're correlations. They're not causative, but there are those basic circuits doing that job. So the best thing to do for our desperate little prefrontal cortex that is trying to find something to calm the amygdala down with is to plug it in to good quality evidence-based news. The BBC, there's some great stuff on YouTube. I'll continue to post that stuff on our social media feed to give all our prefrontal cortexes a good meal of decent information. Now, obviously, that information is changing. It's realistic. It's information based on evidence. It's based on science. And the point about science is the answers change as more information becomes available. And hypotheses make it, and hypotheses don't make it as evidence shifts and moves about. So there is a level of uncertainty in science, but it's the best kind of uncertainty because it's always updated with the latest information. So it's really important to give our prefrontal cortices that information to help calm the amygdala down and not give in to the kind of desire for kind of instant answers and quackery, because none of that's helpful, and actually some of it can actually be quite damaging. It can be upsetting, first of all, and secondly, some of the actions that people might take as a result aren't helpful. Anyway, that's the end of that one. I'll see you again in another video soon. Hope you're all well. Take care.